Hey guys, welcome to Project LifeLeech. This is our new game we are working on currently, and as some of you already know, it's an ARPG. More precise, I would classify it as an Diablo-like, and it's heavily inspired by games like Diablo, Sacred, or Path of Exile, and other great games. And some of you already know we are working on this, and this is our first public video I make about the project. And so don't get too excited right now. There's not a lot of graphics and stuff I can show you, but I want to show you some cool game mechanics, specifically how we generate items, because this is pretty much working right now. We can drop items and we can generate them based on the rules, and I want to show you how this works, show you a little bit about Unreal, which we use, which is a pretty cool engine. Very powerful engine, but yeah, you need quite some time to learn everything, but it's fun working with it. And so let's just go into it, and I hope it isn't too dry for you. It will be very technical, like it's not showcasing our project, how cool it is, but it's more like showing you, well, we're actually working on this and we make some progress and some stuff is working already, and I just want to show you that. So let's go into this. So as you know, an action role-playing game is about the items. It's all about the items. Like, okay, there's also fighting and stuff, which is important, but you know, the items are the heart of the game, of Diablo-like. So one of the first things that we started working on, and I want to show you how we generate them and what's our idea behind this. So these items are randomly generated, and they're generated on a set of rules. Like they're not 100% random, but you select which stats they can have, how high these stats can be, how likely different stats, different attributes are on which pieces of equipment, on which items they're how likely. And we have a pretty cool system for that, which allows the item designer to make them as random as he wants or as specific and fixed as he wants. So I'll show you how it works. Like, we're using what I call item generators. And let's start by just creating one item generator in Unreal Editor, which is what you see here. So right click, new blueprint class, and a blueprint is Unreal scripting system, so it's pretty cool visual scripting. So now it asks us for a base class on which this builds on, and we take LifeLeech item generator, and this is a class written in C++, and we can use it as a base class for our blueprint, and we call this like demo item generator. So now we open that up, and we have here a window for our graph, which we don't need any graph on the generator, so I just close it and reopen it, and then we have our settings window in the foreground. So we start with the basic setup. Like, we can set all these values to define the rules how our item should be generated. And we can set a name. If we don't put a name in here, the name will be randomly generated. That depends, the name generation depends on which attributes are rolled and what quality the item has and what rarity the item has. But we're working currently on the list of names, so of prefixes and suffixes and subjects to generate names. So don't want to show you the name generation, but we can just give it a fixed name, test item for example. So then we need to give it a type, and you know, all the lists that you will see here are not final. They may get bigger, they may get smaller, entries may be exchanged. This is not at all final. Pretty much everything that you see here, but let's make this a sort because we have a sort mesh. Cosmetics, I don't really show you any cosmetics here, and the cosmetic system is not really done. This is pretty much how the item should look. And okay, usable by, this is by which character classes can be used. We will have 6 character classes. You just say, okay, every character can use it. Rarity, this is like pretty old school, magic, rare, and unique. We may have different ones, but we really like this classic style of normal, magic, rare, unique. So let's have it normal. And then here are some ignore settings for multipliers, for multiplicators. Like there's a global multiplicator for balancing, which changes the values of the attributes of the item. And you can say, well, on this item, they shouldn't be changed by a global multiplicator. The rarity, which is this here, can also have a multiplicator. And you can say, okay, ignore this as well. I want to set all values as I want them. Then the level has a multiplicator. You can also ignore the level multiplicator, which pretty much means the level of the item doesn't matter for the value, for the attribute generation. Otherwise, there is a multiplicator for every attribute, how much it goes up when the item level goes up. And you can have the difficulty multiplicator. You can also set this to ignore. That means the difficulty the item dropped can make the item better. It's a multiplicator on the attribute values. And you can say, no, I don't want this on this item. Then quality. Like quality is pretty cool. Quality of the item, used for item attribute weighting, near 0,0 residues in more low-end values, near 1.0 residues in more high-end values. Bell curve. And I can show you exactly what I mean later, because we can generate the curve, and I can show you what this exactly means. But like that means it's more likely that the item values are rolled in a specific range, and 0.5 is the middle of the range. Like if you're where you can go from 1 to 10, like it can roll a 1 or a 10 or everything in between. If quality is 0.5, it's most likely that it will roll a 5 or a 6 or 4. And the more extreme the values go, the more unlikely it is that they will roll. So this is something where we can control how good the items are that drop. I don't know if we will actually use this or how we will exactly use this, but this is something we can play around with in item generation, and it gives us more control. So there's a gold value multiplicator. Gold value is calculated automatically based on how good the item is. But you may want to modify this. And this is what the multiplicator is. You can make the item more expensive or you can make it cheaper by using this multiplicator. Like a 2 makes it twice as expensive or valuable, and a 0.5 makes it like half as valuable, cheaper. So then you have a gold override. You can use this to override the gold value, so it will not be automatically calculated. A -1 means don't override. A 0 pretty much means this costs no gold. It's a worthless item. You can set it to like 1,000 gold or anything. We let it at -1. The item level, like item level and difficulty, these are probably not set by hand. You will let them at 1 and at bronze when you make the item, but they will later be these are parameters that can later be set by loot generators, which is something we can talk in a different video about. In this video I don't want to talk about loot generators, which are code that decides which item generators to use to generate loot and how much gold and other stuff you get when you get loot. So let's see. item level at 1. Difficulty, like pretty classic, you can probably already tell for which game we are inspired here. So then this refers to the quality we can set here. We can say, okay, for socket generation, ignore item quality. So you have a linear distribution, no bell curve. And for attribute generation, ignore quality. So, and then we come to the juicy stuff, which is, okay, socket setup. Like we have sockets, of course, where you can put in socket tables to make your items better or make completely newly items. And so the first two values is the minimum count of sockets that our item can have and the maximum count. Let's say, okay, we want one at minimum and 3 at maximum. And then we add a socket. Okay, and then we have a socket type. We can make it at random, then it will select one of these that come after random. And for internal use, you never use this. This is something that is only for the coders. Okay, so a bronze socket. And here we have a chance. And this is a weighting, pretty much. And that means how likely it is that this socket will be selected or this attribute will be selected. So at 0, it will not be selected, and at 1 it will always be selected. But 0 and 1 have special meanings, and everything in between is how likely it is that this will be picked, that this will be rolled by the generator. 0 means it is automatically weighted. So, and I will explain you how automatic weighting functions when we go on with item creation here. And a 1 means it will always be, it's a guaranteed generation, it will always be generated. So we say, okay, it's bronze, like bronze should be the most common, so we say like 0.5. That means half of the time, 50% of the time, this bronze socket will be generated, and that will be a minimum of 0 sockets and a maximum of 1 socket. Then we add another one, and we make it silver, and here we make a chance of 0.33, so 33% that it will be generated, also minimum count of 0 and a maximum count of 1. Sorry, I need to drink something. My throat gets dry. So let's continue. We had another one, and that would be our gold socket. Again, these are, you can already tell where we are inspired from, but these are not final. So we make us a minimum of 0, and the chance we let this at 0, and that pretty much means the system will determine the chance automatically, and this is pretty easy in this case because it will add these together, and the remainder to 1 will be this chance for the gold. So we have a high chance of a bronze, middle chance of silver, and a low chance for a gold socket, which is pretty cool. So then let's go further to our attributes. Right, we can have a total minimum and a total maximum for how many attributes are on the item. And then it's split into normal attributes, magic attributes, and unique attributes. And this split gives us more control to what mix of attributes we want to have on the item. And normally, like, normal attributes are pretty basic, like base damage and stuff, or base armor. Magic are cool attributes that are useful, and unique are really, really good attributes that are the most rare normally, or that you would mostly expect on unique items. So let's see, we make, I don't know, at least, we want to have at least 3 attributes, and we want to have a maximum of like 6 attributes. And there's not really a limit to these, as well as the sockets. Programmatically, it's pretty much open-ended. You can have as much as you want, but you shouldn't go too high for balancing reasons, of course. So then before we set in the normals, magics and uniques, we can also set how likely it is that a normal attribute rolls, how likely it is, how high the chance is for a magic attribute to roll, and how high the chance for the unique attribute to roll is. So we can make them already more or less rare or common on the rarity rating here, normal, magic, and unique. Or we just let them at 0, and then it will be equally likely for all of them to roll. So let's add a normal one. Okay. Again, all the lists here are work in progress, so it's not not everything will become more probably. So we have a sword, so we definitely need damage, right? And you know, we put this to 1, so it's a guaranteed roll. We always want to have damage on our sword. Wouldn't make any sense. And then we have like 4 values for minimum and maximum, because our minimum value can be in a range and our maximum value can be in a range to generate a range pretty much. So we say, okay, our absolute minimum is like 1 damage and our maximum of the minimum damage is 5. And then the minimum of our maximum damage is 5, and the maximum of our maximum damage is like 10. So this will roll somewhere in between 1 to 10 damage. So okay, damage type. We can select one of the damage types. Enemy damage is something special. I don't want to talk about this now. We will talk about this later when we explain how our battle system works. Again, random selects everything that is beyond random, and yeah, we just make it random, like a random damage type. And we could set like against which enemies it is more effective and stuff, or it is effective at all, but we don't set anything here. And special moves, this is only if special moves are involved in this attribute, which is not the case here. It's, for example, for special move regeneration, which special moves does it regenerate? So yeah, let's add in another one, and let's take here, like, we have armor, block, attack speed is okay for a sword, and we have, I don't know, 1 to 5 probably. So, and this is attack speed is not a ranged value, it's like a +% attack speed, and so we don't need a max value here, and we let it at 0, and then the generator will know, okay, this is not a range that I generate here, but it is a fixed value that can be 1 to 5. So a damage type and this all doesn't apply. Okay. So more normal values we don't need. So we want to have a minimum of 1, which will always be our damage, and a maximum of 2, so we may get attack speed rolled or we may not. Let's move on to the magic items. Magic attributes, I mean. So select a type. Okay, what do we need here? Well, damage multiplicator, definitely. And this could be like, I don't know, from 5 to 10. And again, this is not a range. And here we want that it is a random damage type. Otherwise it would be apply, non-specific would apply to any damage. But yeah, we want it random. And we also want to apply it only to a specific enemy type, and we also set this to random because yeah, don't want to select it here. We're making a pretty random item. We could select everything exactly how we want it, but as I said, we make a pretty random item. So this special move does not apply. Another one. Okay, what do we have? Special move regeneration. Perfect. So we take this to a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 50. It's also not a ranged value. It can be 10 to 50 and will then be a fixed value when after generation. Damage type does not apply. Against does not apply. Well, we can now here select for which special move this applies. Like if we have non-specific in basic special move type, and pretty much all of them non-specific, it will apply to every special move in the game. So the basic type pretty much means it's a special move or it's a spell. So, and we set this at random, so it will be one of the two. Advanced special move, here's nothing right now. This is a specific subcategory of special moves, beyond special move or spell. And special move type would be a specific special move, but we have also not defined anyone there, so we let it sit like that. And we add another one. So let's see, life. Yeah, life is always nice. We can have like, I don't know, 10 to 50 life. Okay. And we add another one. So what do we got? Life regeneration is also always nice. I don't know, 10 to 20. What do we want on the item as well? If we wanted to have it really random, then we could have this random. If we now set this at random, it can also generate one of the attributes that we already selected, and then it's double on the item, which is maybe not wanted, and I will build in an option to force non-double attributes. So what do, oh, critical hit chance, definitely love critical chance, like 1 to 5. And when we have critical chance, we also need critical damage. Pretty important. Critical damage, I don't know, 10 to 50. And like, I'm not really bothering with the chances now because I don't want to waste too much time here. But I think you understood what the chances are on the sockets when I showed you the sockets, so great. So we have now 6 different attributes that could be rolled, and we have we let a minimum of 0, right? So could be there's no magic attribute, and we put the maximum at, I don't know, 4 maybe. Yeah, let's put it at 4. And that's nice. So attributes, unique attributes, right? Let's add unique attributes. So what do we have here? Oh, LifeLeech, definitely we need LifeLeech. It's like project title of our game. So I don't know, 3 to 7 maybe. So what do we have? Then we want to have magic find. Yeah, magic find's always nice. 5 to 20. I will not explain to you how magic find works here. This will be explained in a later video when we discuss loot generators. But it's another, I think, even more complicated topic, which will come up then, how we generate loot and how we specify loot quality and how we ensure that you're not getting extremely unlucky, which is also something very important, which some games do, like Diablo 2, and Diablo 3 doesn't do it, as far as I see, which is kind of shitty sometimes. So, what do we have? Like a gold shield is a cool value, like it will remove part of your gold if you get hit instead of your life. Pretty cool. So, and yeah, come on, another one. Like, I don't know, split. It's one of Arne's favorites. Let's say 5 to 10, which is pretty high for split, but yeah, who cares? So let's say, okay, unique attributes minimum 0, maximum 2, not more. And then we could also say, okay, we also give them a chance. Like it's more likely that we get a normal, less likely that we get a magic, and unique will be least likely. So that's it. We designed a pretty random item, which is like, I don't know, it's more like a rare, I would say. Maybe well, it's something between rare and magic, because like a rare I would not say that you can have 0 magics on a rare, but again we have 3 minimum and we have only 2 here, so if it runs with 0 magic then it will generate 1 unique, but we will see. We make it how we make it a magic. Okay, compile and save. So this is the first part. This is our item generator. Now this is not the item itself. It will generate the attributes for our item. So to have an actual item in the game we need an actor, and an actor is everything that is really existing in the world. So we have an item actor class, and if we make a blueprint of that, this is a LifeLeech item actor, which is also a C++ class. So demo item actor. This will pretty much hold our item attributes, and it will also show the cosmetics and effects and stuff, how the item looks. So we open that up, and there's like this sphere here is predefined, and there are a bunch of settings here and a bunch of subcomponents here, audios and effects. First we want to exchange this ball here, right? Right now we don't randomly generate cosmetics, which will happen, but it's right now we don't do it. So we have to specify how the item will look like, and we have a sort mesh here. Item sort 1. Okay, there it is. Right. Pretty small. Okay, this box around it is a hitbox for the mouse. So we want to have it like roughly the size of the item, a little bit bigger probably. So that's pretty easy to do. So yeah, it looks fine. And my cat just jumped on the table. Looks pretty fine to me. So it would work without the box, but the problem would be then you would need to hit it exactly with the mouse, which is kind of shitty. So you do want a little bit bigger box around it. So that's pretty much it. Everything is pre-configured. We could change like some things, but like the drop audios and so they are set by code, so we don't need to change anything in them. Yeah, we could change some physics values and so on here, but they should be okay for this item already. Compile, save. So now, how we do get this to drop in the game? Like first, let me just show you. Okay, this is how it looks like. As you can see, you see nothing. This is a demo level where there's really nothing. So we have something more, but I don't feel comfortable showing that to you now. We need a little bit more time for that. And this model is also not from us. So this is a standard model in Unreal Engine. Everyone can use it, and it's good for testing. So yeah. And we can run around here, and yeah. So now we want to generate our item, drop it to the ground pretty much. And I show you how to do this, and then you also see like how to make blueprints, because like the level has a blueprint. We open it up, and now we can make a script in here. So, and what we want to do is when we hit a key, we want to generate an item and we want to drop it to the ground. So, and how do we do this? We look for key. There's a list of keys right here. And we select, for example, I. And this is an event. So from this pins we can drag off and make an action. So if the I key is pressed, we can do something, or if it's released, we can do something. And we only want to do it if it's released, and not generate more and more items if it's pressed. So only if it's released one item. So the first thing that we need to do, or let me think, it's not important what we do. First, we could first spawn the item actor, which needs to be spawned in the world, or we could first create our generator. I would say we spawn the item first. So spawn actor would be the action for that. Spawn actor from class. So, and the class is our demo item actor that we made. And this transform is where to spawn this. And we want to split this up, so we have a location, a rotation, and a scale. Now we want to spawn this where our character is. And we do this by getting the player character. This will give us a reference to the player character. Index 0 is always the local player. And then from our player, we want to get the transformation. So we go get transformation, get actor transformation. Okay. Now we don't want the whole transformation. We only want location and rotation. If we would put in scale, it would scale our item to the scale of our character, which we don't want to. So we make a break transform, and then we have location, rotation, and scale. So, and I want to move this a little bit down to have it a little bit nicer, because we need this again later. So we plug the location into the location, and we plug the rotation into the rotation. And then it will be spawned at the location of our character and how the character is rotated. Right? So pretty simple stuff right there. Okay. Now we want to create our item generator so we can actually use it. So, and we do this by create, how was it called? Create object, I think. No. I forgot how it's called. No, construct. It was construct. Construct object from class. So I'm mostly using C++, not so much of this blueprint. Well, I enjoy using the blueprint editor to prototype stuff and then later implement it into C++. Pretty cool. So if we want to use an object which is not an actor, we don't spawn it, but we construct it. So we select what class we want to construct an object of, and we use our demo item generator. So there it is. And we need to set who it belongs to, and we just say self. Get self probably. No. No. Get reference to self, right. This is what we want. That pretty much means this is the reference to the blueprint. So this object will belong to the blueprint. It cannot belong to nothing, because then it will be garbage collected and not exist anymore. Or, well, I don't know, it just can't belong to nothing. It needs to belong to something. So, okay, now we have constructed it, and now we need to initialize it. So we do an init This is under item generator, so it's pretty much just the init. And this is the C++ function of the item generator, which is exposed to this blueprint scripting system, which will initialize the generator. And then we want to generate item. Okay. And we do need the reference from the generator to generate the item. Okay. And it will output an item, LifeLeech item object reference. So, and this item we can plug into our actor. So, right, let me move this stuff up here a little bit. Okay. So we take the reference to our actor, item actor, and we say set item. Set item, there it is. So, and this is the item that is generated by the generator. So yeah, now this node will feed the item that the generator generated into our item actor, which is actually in the world. So very important. Now this actor actually has all the attributes and the name and everything that we set. Now we need to update the actor, so it will update colors for the effects, for the item label, and that generates the font for the name of the item and stuff like that. And we do this by not this. We need again this reference. Let me say update item actor. Updates everything about the item actor. Call this if you assigned a new item object. Right. Exactly what we need to do. Next thing. So, pretty cool. Okay. Now we have generated our item. All we are missing now is actually dropping it to the ground. So, how we do that? Pretty easy. We also take a reference and we say drop item. So this is also a C++ function of the item actor, which is pretty basic, and it will be changed into something different. This is just pretty much just for testing purposes. And we say where we want to drop it and the rotation, and it will apply an impulse, and physics simulation will handle how the item actually drops to the ground and where it ends up. We just plug in the location from our character again and the rotation from our character again. So, okay, pretty cool. That should already work. That should already give us an item. Let's recap. When we press I, when I key is released, we spawn the item actor from the location and rotation of our character. We then construct our item generator. We initialize our item generator. We generate the item that will use the rules that we set in our generator. Then we will set our generated item. We will feed our generated item into the spawn, to our item actor. Then we update the item actor with the new values, and then we drop it. So let's see, compile, and well, no error, which is always good. Save, and let's see what happens. Play. Well, let me zoom a little bit to see. Pressing I, and we crashed. That's pretty bad, and I did something wrong. So let me quickly start the project again, and I will check what we did wrong. So let's open the blueprint, and something we did wrong here, like we initialized the generator. Oh, right. I haven't even connected these. This is obviously pretty bad. But it's a little bit weird that it crashed because of that, but yeah, obviously needed to connect this. That's a little bit weird. I don't know if it will crash again anyway. But yeah, in the update it should be okay. We'll see. Yeah, now it works. Okay. There's our item. This effect here changes color on the rarity of the item. Now it's kind of blue, a little bit too white maybe. This is our item, and we have here a label, test item, which we have a mouse over for. We can activate the mouse label that it will always be on, and this is actually in the world, so our character will stand in front of it, and if you move the mouse over it, it will come in the foreground. But yeah, I don't know, it's not even that useful of a concept, I think, to have it like in the background. I just wanted to try it out, and probably it will always be in the foreground, but we cannot use a key to set it to always be in the foreground. This is not a problem at all. And we can use an outline for the item, so we see where it is. And we obviously can drop a lot of them, so it's not a problem at all. Here they're all test items, obviously. Yeah. So we can't collect them right now because we don't have an inventory and stuff, because we don't have an GUI yet, which is something that is worked on right now. Okay, now just one problem. We don't see the values of our items, and since we have no GUI, we do need some other means to see the values, because it wouldn't be fun to not see them. So obviously we can, and we can just export them to a text file, which is more or less for debugging. So after we drop the item, we say create string, context sensitive, which is also a C++ function of the item itself. So we need the reference to the item, which we have still here. So this will create a string with information about the item. Well, pretty straightforward. So now the string itself doesn't do a lot for us. We want to export it to a file, and that's also a function I wrote in C++, which is write string to file. That's pretty straightforward. We need a string that we plug in here, then we set a path, for example C. Loading Visual Studio. Does it want to compile something? I don't know. Sometimes Unreal does weird things. So, oh great, no, it doesn't let me type. Why does it load Visual Studio? No? I don't know, minimize it. So, yes, you saw some small bits of our code, not a big problem. LifeLeech test. Yeah, and a file name, test item txt. Okay, great. Now we have it written to a file, and because we're fancy, we will also open the file in Notepad with run program, which is also a C++ function I wrote and exposed to Blueprint, because Blueprint system does not have a run file, unfortunately. So the file is notepad exe path, copy, and the file name, we copy, perfect, not hidden, not wait, great. This should say create a string, create a text of our item attributes for item, write it to a file and open that file in Notepad. Would be pretty cool if this just works like that. Save. Play. Okay, let's see. Ah, there it is. Name, test item, custom name. Custom name is a name that maybe could be set by the player if we allow certain items to be renamed. I don't know if we will. Generator, this is a generator class that was been used to generate this item. Pretty important if we want to recalculate the item, if we want to scale levels up and down, stuff like that. And then we need to have a reference to the generator that was used. The level of the item, the original level of the item is with what level it was generated. The quality and character level, we'll probably not even use this. But this is for another video why we will not. The gold value, it calculated 62 gold. For which characters it's usable. The type is sword, it's a magic. It's not part of a set. So there were no set up in the item generator, which is because it's not part of item generation. Sets get their own set class and will have item generators set in the set class that belong to the set. So it's dropped in difficulty bronze. It has a silver and a gold socket, and it got a normal attribute, damage 2 to 6, and it's damage type ice. And it got +2 attack speed, and it got special move regeneration plus 29 for spells. Great. And if we go now here and we generate another item, we get different values. So we got one of each socket this time, damage as always, 3 attack speed, and now damage modifier of +7, which should be %, but this is more or less a debug output, so it's not how it will look like in the game. Obviously we'll have a nice item tooltip, and it's damage type poison and it's against ghosts. And if we generate another one, we will have only one silver socket, our damage, which is always generated, poison damage this time, 2 attack speed, critical hit chance, damage modifier of 9, poison against ghosts, and special regeneration 48 again, for spells. And another one, silver and a gold socket, 3 to 8 damage lightning, critical hit damage 17, and plus 23 life. So yeah, it works pretty well. Does exactly what we told it to do. 2 sockets. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So, this time split. Okay. So what can we do apart from that? So one cool thing about blueprints is you can build in hierarchy with them. So we have now made this blueprint, and this could be some kind of base blueprint, and we want to make a lot of item generators which are very similar to this one. So we can make a child of it, and I can call it demo item gen child, for example. I don't know. Okay, and if we look into the values, it has exactly the same values as our other generator. It has inherited them all, and we can now change some. For example, we say, well, this is actually a rare item, and because it's a rare, it will have at least 2 sockets, and I will have, let's say it will have always 6 attributes, which is pretty good. Okay, so yeah, not big changes, but you know, we have the same item, just a little bit better. with very little changes. So now we open our level blueprint and we put in our new blueprint. Demo item gen child. And now this one will drop. Right here. It's now rare. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, well, we'll always have 6 now. Great stuff. So, and you can see it's now a yellow effect. Yeah, this is pretty much just me playing around with how particle effects in Unreal work. This is not the final effect that will be in the game probably. So, okay, now the cool part is, this is our child, and you see here this sign. This means revert to the defaults, reset to defaults. Now the cool thing is, anything that we didn't change is default. And if we go into the parent class, we can now do some change here. Like for example, let's say, you know what, the bronze should drop like more often. So 0.6. Okay, great. Compile save. Okay. And now this changed too. 0.6, because it's the default value. And everything that we changed here didn't change when we saved the old item, only what is at default. So you can pretty much build a hierarchy where you have basic items and then you make them more and more specific the more items you build on top of the other items. So if you want to change some very basic value, you go back to the parent of the parent of the parent of the parent and you change your value there, and they will be inherited by all the other items that come after them, which is pretty nice. So yeah, one other thing, let's make this unique. Okay, and yeah, we actually have like a marker effect for Unix. This is also like probably too sci-fi for our game, but yeah, pretty much me playing around with effects, and had a little bit fun. Not too amazing, but yeah, something cool. So golden item. We could like remove the names, then it would generate, but we just have like a list of items right now. Let me quickly remove the opening of the editor. Okay, just remove that line between them, and then we are golden. So yeah, then if you're a fan, you know from which game this is. Yeah. Okay. Now the last thing I can show you is I was talking about quality, right? So this here. And this is mostly used on attributes. Let's see, for example, damage. Yes. It can be like 1 to 5 minimum and 5 to 10 maximum. And we have a quality set, so it will be most likely in the middle. And I can show you what this exactly means, because there's a test routine for it, where I tested if that actually worked, because I also need to implement this function. So, and we just can call it and do a test, and I can show you the curve. Let's go for the T key for test and released, and test random normal range, random number generation. Right, so we need a path again. C LifeLeech test, and we need a file name. And a test.csv, because it's a CSV file. And we let the minimum at 0, the maximum at 100. This is what numbers it can roll. It can roll 0 to 100, so 101 in total. It's integer. There's also a float version of this function, but yeah, we're using the integer right now. The mean, this is a quality pretty much. This is where inside of this range is our how it's called, like it's a peak of our bell curve, pretty much. A deviation is a standard deviation. How wide is a bell curve? You could tell it how wide or how flat it is. And sample size is, I think, 1 million. This means we do 1 million rolls. And then we just put this into like OpenOffice, I guess, to visualize it. So let's run. Let's hit T, and then should be a file. Yeah, this is an older file, this is a newer file. And I have this open spreadsheet. Just plug it in here. Say OK. You can already see 0 to 100. You can see 917 times the 100 was rolled of 1 million, 924 times the 0, and in the middle it gets bigger, and we can obviously visualize this here without any problems. This is the curve. Let's go to a line, looks a little bit nicer, I think. So you see in the middle, this is the numbers that are rolled, and this is how often the specific number has been rolled. And you see it's much more likely that it will roll here in the middle. And let's close that. And I show you how it looks like if we have low quality and high quality. So let's put the quality to, not here. Obviously not here, because it's a test routine. Let's put the mean, which is the quality in the generation, to 0.1. Compile, save. Run it. Hit T to generate the file. And open it in OpenOffice. Yeah, that was kind of stupid. New spreadsheet. We want a spreadsheet. Okay. So, as you can see, now it's much more likely with 0.1 quality that a low number will roll on the item, on the attribute. So it will most likely be a 1 and not a 5. So, yes. And same thing obviously applies for high quality, which I can also show you. And obviously everything in between. So, not sure how much we will use this feature. Like, I think we need to test a lot of things and see what is fun, because like this is the most important thing about a game. It needs to be fun. And we want to test a lot of different things and see. Not do the same mistake again. And see what really is fun. But I think the item system needs to be complicated. It's very, very important because you should have lots and lots and lots and many hours fun collecting items. So now it's very likely that we get a high-end attribute roll. So yeah, cool stuff. Gives us a lot of control of how items should be rolled. That's pretty much all I wanted to show you. So you see we actually work on this. We make some progress. We have some fun doing it. And let me know if you like this video or if it's too dry for your taste. If you want to see more of these videos, like if you have something finished that works, do you want to see it? And yeah, if you have questions, put your questions in the comments. And yeah, one thing I want to say, because I want to actually give a shout out to the Russian community, because like the Russian sacred community is like really enthusiastic about our new ARPG. Like it's not a new sacred, right? We don't have license to sacred, but obviously we are heavily inspired by it. It was a great game, especially Sacred 1. And yeah, I want to give a big shout out to them because they're actually helping us out a lot. Two members of the Russian sacred community actually joined our team, and very grateful for that. And other ones are discussing about the project, and some are very enthusiastic, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, we don't want to let you down, and if you have input for us, if you have ideas, if you have feature requests, if you think it's bullshit what we do, if you think it's great what we do, yeah, just tell us. So yeah, until next time, see you.